Oh, hi, you. Now, let's get straight into it with the delightful Caroline Marcus, our colleague here at Sky News, the wonderful Nicholas Reece. Lovely to see you back, of course, in Melbourne as their Deputy Mayor. And joining us right now from Mildura, which is the location of our next Our Town, is none other than Senator Matt Canavan. Joining us from which bar are you tonight?
Corporate Moose here in Mildura. It's a great place. Had a great drink with Glenn, the owner here, and just doing some advancing here for you, Paul, ahead of your Our Town.
If you could, just get your voice down. There's a couple of hipsters behind you who may disagree with you at any time. But OK, we'll do what we can. So today, early voting has begun. We decided to send somebody to Yass, just outside the ACT in the middle of New South Wales. And here was some of their views on what's about to happen.
I spoke to some members of our local mob, so I'm going the way they told me to.
Yeah.
No. Oh, they said that we live in a democracy, everything's okay, and they indicated that it may be a certain group amongst the community of them that is driving for it.
Decided which way you're going to vote?
No, not really. I just don't really know what it's about yet.
I have no idea.
What are you going to do on the day?
Don't know yet. Secret.
It's a way for Australia, all of us, to say, yes, we see you, yes, we hear you, your stories are our stories.
I think just another level of in Canberra. Will not do anything for the Aboriginal people in remote areas that need it.
We've lived through no, so I just want to see how it's like living through yes.
All right, rather than having the same old, I like yes, I like no, let's fight about it for 7 minutes, fun to watch, but still, I want to do this ever so slightly differently. Matt, I'm going to start with you. There is a surprisingly large number of people who still haven't heard about this. There's a surprisingly large number of people who still haven't made their mind up. I'm not asking you to pitch for your side here, but this couldn't have been a louder topic, right? This could not have been a bigger part of the public consciousness, and certainly it gives us a little reminder about the gulf between the political obsession and the reality of people with busy lives. Do you honestly think there's that many people left who haven't heard of it and haven't made a decision, or they're just the ones that don't want to be on TV saying yes or no?
Probably a bit of both, but I can totally believe it, Paul, because the simple fact is that this is not the major concern of most Australian families right now. They're mostly concerned about their cost of living. People are struggling to stay in their homes. So every time they go to Coles and Woolies, they're worried they're going to get that little red cross saying funds declined, not enough in your bank account. And that's what's really concerning people. So this has been a massive distraction for our country, I believe. As you say, I'm not going to go over all the arguments. We've had those. All I would encourage everyone, get out there and vote. Even if you haven't thought about it too much yet, have a quick think about it. It's really important that you do vote. This is a compulsory voting election. You've got to vote. Democracy is a wonderful thing. Whatever happens in a couple of weeks, we'll live by it, abide by it, and we'll move on as a country.
Correct. And a reminder, by the way, that you have to vote just like at a normal federal election. You have to go to your local electorate, and in each electorate there are opportunities for you to vote early. Go to the AEC website, go to the referendum, go to the how do I vote early, and you can find out exactly where. All of that across the country, as all the public holidays move to one side, all of that from tomorrow. Caroline, again, are you having conversations with anyone who is starting to say, no, seriously, I haven't even thought about it?
Well, not lately, but in the lead up to this, certainly. I mean, people who are outside my media circle or the political circle absolutely feel this way. And I mean, I know it isn't how a lot of our Sky viewers are very engaged and they're on the ball. That's why they like watching shows like this where we can voice educated opinions on topics that they're aware of. But when I get sent out on the street to do Vox Pops and I speak to people outside train stations, half the time they don't know who the Prime Minister is, or the opposition leader is leading up to an election.
Such a great part of the job, isn't it? When they say, hey, can you go out? Because here's what happens, right? Like Caroline, too kind to say, this is what happens, right? G'day, can I come back? And it doesn't matter whether this is an ABC one, a Triple M one, or a Sky one, right? Occasionally somebody will turn around and say, the media, they'll have a crack. And then there's the person who really wants to talk, and sometimes you go, okay, that's enough. Yeah, you feel like a
telemarketer. This must be how it feels like to be hung up on when I get those calls from
it's like you feel like there's a small part of you that feels like as you're walking around, you go,
next time. That'll be.
Have you heard about potential discounts on your energy plan? You go, no, enough. So, Nicholas, again, you've seen this through the party political prism and now, obviously, in this particular referendum question. Again, I don't want this chat to descend into the obvious yes and no. Not because it's not fun, but it's just I want to do something slightly different. Do you think that there is a legitimate collection of people who are not even undecided. They're literally, I don't know this is happening.
Yes, I think there is still a significant portion of the Australian population who haven't made up their mind yet and still have a fairly low level of information about what the vote is actually about. But I do agree with the good senator that in Australia we have compulsory voting, and that's a very good thing. It's a moderating influence in our politics. It keeps our politics in the centre, and it also makes it very hard to try and contest the result afterwards. So I would encourage people to avoid getting a fine, get themselves informed and cast their vote, have their voice heard. I think the politics is going to be trickier if the vote is a no than if it's a yes. If the vote's a yes, then, a lot of wheels start turning in terms of setting up the mechanics of setting up the voice and taking that forward through the parliament. If the vote's a no, I think there'll be a lot of soul searching going on, and particularly for Aboriginal Australia. It'll be a case of back to the drawing board, back to the drawing board. Because, well, I mean, come on. I mean, look, for you and I, we'll wake up the next day and it won't make a lot of difference whichever way it goes. But if you're an Aboriginal Australian, you're waking up the next day and life expectancy is still 8 years shorter. You've still got twice the suicide rate. I
didn't want to go there.
For Aboriginal male, you've got more chance of going to jail and going to university. So, at least there'll be a way forward. At least there'll be a way forward if the yes vote goes up.
All right.
News alert, none of that changes, by the way, if there's a yes vote. Everything remains the same the next day.
Well, because no one's suggesting that a vote in one way or the other has a material effect on either of those things, because they can't promise that. They just can't promise it. Matt, 30-second response, and then I'm changing topics.
Well, I thought I interjected with my response, so I apologise, Paul. But perhaps I think Caroline summed it up. I mean, how's the voice going to change any of these things? What will happen if the yes vote comes back is we'll have another 6 months, maybe a year of parliamentary business wrapped up with how this voice is going to work. Now, when interest rates are rising, when energy bills are going up, I'm out in the Murray-Darling Basin here, and there's a big issue with your food production. Your food bills are already very high. Why would we be focusing on those things, not on the real issues that matter for Australian people? I've seen polling that puts the voice at dead last for people right now, because they can see this is just more bureaucracy, it's more government, it's not going to actually improve people's lives.
All right, pill testing. Over the weekend, a couple of people died after taking drugs at music festivals in New South Wales. One of their mothers was at a press conference held by the Greens today, saying that the New South Wales government should introduce a system where people can double-check the drugs that they are taking without fear of being arrested for doing so.
The government need to listen to the experts. They need to implement harm reduction strategies within music festival environments now. I am begging you to make change.
Now, Caroline, there's a public policy response, then there's the human response as well to a mother who's obviously grieving, strength and love to her and her family. We've seen in the ACT, pill testing is put in place and a liberalisation of drug possession laws. We've seen in Queensland they won't go to pill testing, but they're going to liberalise drug possession laws. The issue that I have with pill testing is that at some point in time, if you tell people that it's okay and it turns out that it's not okay, well, are you not giving false hope that what they are taking is okay? But philosophically, where are you on whether we should be doing it or not?
Definitely agree that it's a false sense of security. And like you, I have every sympathy for that poor mum. You can't help but watch something like that as a parent and just think, oh my gosh,
Of course.
For the grace of God go I. But having said that, I have a lot of issues with the concept of pill testing because you do not know how your body is going to react to a pill, even if you have taken it before, even if you've had it tested and it's deemed safe by the testers, you don't know if your body is going to have a fatal reaction to that pill. So not only does it give people a false sense of security, not only the people who are getting tested, but it gives a mixed signal that it is possible to take illicit drugs safely. It is not.
I mean, this is the thing, Nick, right, where the conversation will be, it doesn't matter what society's attitudes are, people keep doing it anyway. Well, that's the same for speeding. Right? I mean, literally, that it is illegal to speed, but people do it, right? Because they think it's safe and it's okay and they're a better driver than everyone else, right? So I understand that right now there's a drug liberalisation conversation that we're going to see in the ACT. We'll see where the evidence goes. We'll see what's happening in Queensland. But certainly the New South Wales government says, no, we're not going to go near this. What is the philosophical... I mean, because, again, it's illegal already, right? We turn around and tell everyone don't smoke because the consequences to your health are that it will eventually kill you, right? If one of the consequences of the use of illegal drugs is that you could kill yourself, well, is that not the same message that we're making about the legal product? So we don't have a way to say smoking's kind of okay. You can't find another way to say taking drugs is kind of okay. If you do it, it's your roll of the dice.
Yeah, look, I think it's different to the speeding example or the smoking example you've just given. But just to add to your argument, look, it's not just the New South Wales Labor government that said that they're not going near it. The Andrews government, Labor government in Victoria, said the same thing. I know this will be a controversial thing to say. I actually do support pill testing, Paul, not because I think it's a silver bullet. It absolutely isn't. And I want to be really clear that my number one message to young people is don't take drugs. Like, they're dangerous.
The harm
it's a really, really stupid thing to do, a really stupid and dangerous thing to do. But I also know that thousands of kids across Australia this weekend will be taking pills, or MDMA pills, ecstasy pills, and they'll do that because the previous weekend many of their friends took pills and they're telling them that they had a great time out. And so now, like this girl, Alex Rosking, she was 19 years old, she turns up to the party, she's got her two pills in her pocket, and she's decided she's going to give it a go. They get to the party, the cops are there, they're frisking me. So what does she do? She panics, she pops both of them at the same time, she gets into the party, she dies of a drug overdose. Like, it's absolutely tragic. The thing she should have done is not take the drugs at all. But the reality is the message of, don't just say no. That just doesn't work, Paul.
Sure,
we know that.
Ground.
And so we've got to try something new. And I think that this... Yeah, of course, that's absolutely what they should be doing, but the kids aren't doing that.
Right.
And so we've got to look for a smarter way of tackling these things. I know it's a really difficult debate.
The Greens standing next to this poor mother were also saying we don't want such a heavy police presence there. And yet their police are busting people with hundreds of pills, like dealers, targeting young kids. I mean, maybe, controversial, we should think about shutting down these drug parties because that's what they are.
Yeah, all right. Now, Matt, we've got your connection back, so I want to ask you, you're currently doing an inquiry into the potential changes of the water legislation, Murray-Darling Basin. Give me an idea about what you're hearing and what the consequences are about potential fiddles here that the current government's starting to do.
Well, the government's reopening water buybacks again here in the Murray-Darling Basin. And that means, what water buybacks means, they're buyouts. They're buyouts of farmers. That means they're going to reduce production of food here in the Murray-Darling, and 40% of your food comes from this region. And then with lower food availability, of course, you'll end up with higher prices. And today we're in Shepparton. We heard from SPC, who said that very thing. Who said if this happens, if the government does what it's doing, it's going to reduce the amount of orchids for them to process, to put in those cans, to put in new products that they're doing, and that'll mean their costs go up, and they have to pass that on to you in the grocery store. And you think about what your bills are right now. Why would the government be doing this and adding this on top of all those costs you've got? I don't see why the government's doing this. They're reopening this can. It was a settled issue. We can recover water in much smarter, more efficient ways without having to destroy farming communities and great towns like I am here tonight in Mildura.
Good stuff. Enjoy Mildura. Get the word out. We'll be there in a few weeks' time. We'll give everyone the chance to join us. If you want to get in early, ourtown@skynews.com.au. One and all, thank you very much. We'll talk to you all again very, very soon. Enjoy the night in Mildura, Melbourne and in the Man Cave. I'll see you after the show, mate. And we'll just hang out the back and have a chat.
Thanks, Paul.